Man, my hands sting a little bit after I do it. Is that a sign? That's a bad sign for my manliness going forward.
You're getting old, young man.
I feel it. I feel it. You ready to get started?
Yeah, let's ring in the new year.
Do you feel like you wasted 2024?
Wasted. Yeah, that's fair. Actually, I was thinking about that this morning. Kind of looking back on the year, and I absolutely think I didn't intend to waste it, but if any of you have been following this podcast for a year, you know that I tore my calf muscle, which in May, which pretty much ended my summer, and then yeah. So yes, I think I wasted 2024, and I achieved none of my goals, did
Mm.
nothing that I wanted to do, except do the things that I didn't want to do, which is work more, gain more weight, and be stressed out more. So everything I didn't want to do, I did.
So, yeah, you didn't just waste it. You went the exact opposite direction of what you were trying to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I don't know if you pulled the audience on this, but I feel like that's probably 80% of everybody is that you go the other way.
Oh, I think that people are kind of all jammed up right now, and that there's no more moving forward. There's only treading water. I I don't know if I wasted my 2024. I didn't accomplish anything that I wanted to accomplish, but I did tread water. Like there was a lot of things that kind of happened. Life came up a number of times, and I wouldn't say that I took a step backwards, but I didn't take a step forwards by any sense of the imagination.
Yeah, I didn't. I got more in debt. Like I said, worked a ton. There was no there was no positive steps towards any of my goals that I had laid out for instance, one of them was I wanted to read 40 books this year.
Well, that was unrealistic to begin with. That's a book a week.
Yeah, it's 30 pages a day, which is not, maybe a little more, maybe 50 pages a day, which is not that crazy if you read an hour a day.
Yeah, that to me is like, well, we'll get into like the worst New Year's resolutions later on. But I do think that like I wouldn't say that I had a good year for a long time. I think treading water is the new success. Like if you can just
I just
maintain the level that you're at now, that has to be viewed as a successful year. I mean, I would say I went through a major change as a person. Like I adjusted to middle age. That was a major change. I did that. But I certainly didn't make any progress. I adjusted to my situation in life.
Yeah, I don't see that's a tough one. I don't know in terms of that. I think I just kind of realized that like it doesn't matter. Like I think if anything, 2024 was the year where I learned like what I should do in 2025, if that makes any sense.
I do feel like 2025 is more of a new start than 2024.
Yeah, and I also think that political landscape of 2024, no matter once again who you support, I mean, it was just everywhere, and it was so drowning and so just weight heavy on everybody. And it's like it's over, and there will be a new president January 20th, and that's over. Like let's move on.
Yeah, I agree. You just got to kind of like, well, you just got to move forward at this point. But I think
I mean,
2025 is the year of F around, find out.
we so I went back actually and I listened to our end of the year 2020 podcast.
Yeah.
And we had talked about how crazy of a year it was with COVID and being in a pandemic. And it got me thinking, and this might be a dumb thought or a dumb question, but I feel like 2020 has just bled into every other year. But I feel like 2025 can be the year that you know, you're putting the new underwear on, and it's actually a new year.
Yeah, I would say that 2025 is definitely the year that you could say we put the pandemic behind us. 2023, you could start making an argument that that was kind of over. 2024, I think you still had some lingering effects of it. But I would say 2025 would be the first year that you could say, all right, that was in the past. The ramifications of it are still kind of coming, but for the large part, I think it's in the past.
Yeah, and once again, if well, I guess you would have gone through the pandemic, because if you're listening to this podcast at the age of 4 or 5, holy shit. But man, if you look back in history at the other pandemics, I mean, it took decades, but it feels like 2025 could be the year where we all open the curtain and, there's positivity out there, hopefully.
I am conflicted, and I think both ways. I think that sometimes you just get unlucky and there's nothing that you can do, but I also think that you are in charge of making the most of your situation. And I feel conflicted as to both of those. Like, you can't use that excuse that things just happened, but also sometimes things just happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm evident of that, of things just happening. I was losing weight. I was back in the gym 3 to 5 times a week, and then I tear my calf from the bone. Like, I wouldn't ask for that. That wasn't
you had
planned.
the whole rest of your other body. You could have still been going to the gym and benching.
You're right.
Been benching every day. You could have been doing upper body. You could have been swole, right? Like, you didn't make the most of that situation, and that's what I'm talking about. But also, like, you ruptured your leg, and it's hard to do that stuff.
You're not wrong, but also, and I guess I'm gonna go on a soapbox now. You have a family, you have a job. It's tough. It's tough, man. It's tough if you're not like The Rock, and that's all you have to focus on is your body. But anyways, I think 2025. I'm gonna say it on record. I think it's gonna be a good year for hopefully everybody.
All right. Well, thank you for jinxing everything. I would never say something like that. Even if I felt the same way, I wouldn't jinx it like that.
You're the second person in the last hour that has said that I'm a jinxer.
You are a jinxer.
I don't think
you are a massive
I'm not a jinxer.
Oh, 100%.
No.
100%. You're easily the biggest jinxer that I know.
I don't know. I don't know how I got that title, but I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, then that's entirely in your control. Then stop jinxing things.
I just don't want it. I don't want to be that guy anymore.
Then
but I
do
don't know what to say.
You're entirely in control. If you think to yourself, "Am I going to jinx this situation?" Then don't do it. Right? Like, if you think the stove is hot, don't touch it.
Like, it's gotten so bad that at work and friends of mine will tell me to bet on certain sports teams because they know if I bet on them to do well, that team will do bad. And it always happens. Always happens.
Oh, you're a jinxer. Number one jinxer I know. Easily. I can't even think of second place.
Well, that's not a good thing to have. All right. Can we get the shout outs?
Yeah, sure. You going to jinx all these people by saying their names?
I don't want
say I hope to some like why don't you say I hope all of the people in the shout outs that I'm about to do have a good 2025, and then if they could report back to us how their 2025 was, and then you will be blamed as the source of all of their problems.
Sure.
All right, let's
I hope that these 10 individuals that I name for these shout outs for this episode have a fantastic, I know they're going to have a fantastic 2025 full of money and wealth and happiness. So I just jinxed the hell out of all 10 of you.
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry.
All of them. Let's hear it.
Sandra Caesar, Steve Renee, Pharaoh Remo, Alyssa Nazarus, that can't be a real name, but maybe it is. Lulu Jin, appreciate all of you. Brian Anderson, had to get an actual name in there that I could pronounce. Matt Morgan. Kaylee Einschwinwhistle.
Close enough.
I really put
good enough.
I really just put that one in there because it made me smile. For whatever reason. Milo Semovich. And the last person that I am damning to a terrible 2025 without knowing, Steve Hall.
Oh, that is the most basic name in the world. Steve Hall.
Steve Steve Hall.
Steve Hall. Hall. Okay. Well,
Uh,
congratulations to those people, I guess.
I mean, stay with us throughout the year. Let me know how great or terrible your life is.
Okay. Okay.
Because maybe we'll stop doing these if
Oh, if we like forced to by the
I'm
public, basically.
actually jinxing people. Um, yeah. Well, I guess we got to start with a little bit of in remembrance to, and I'm gonna say this, and I think I'm gonna come across as a complete jackass, but I
Probably.
feel like I have to say this. Is Jimmy Carter passed away at the age of 100. R.I.P. The former president. I am not sure, nor could I tell you anything that Jimmy Carter did as president to better our nation.
I couldn't tell you anything about him. I couldn't tell you a
Well,
single. I couldn't tell you a single thing about him besides he builds houses, and he was the president. Don't know a single thing that he did. But I don't think that you know what any political leader did unless you are involved in politics or keep track of that a lot. I don't think that you know what any president really did unless it's a big thing until you're 30
I mean,
plus. Because it
I
doesn't really
mean,
affect you that much. You don't know.
well, and like I said, I'm sure he did something. I mean, he was a one-term president, uh, but yeah, you're right. He's more known for like what he did after his presidency. I feel, and that god awful picture of, I don't know if you remember this, but he didn't want to vote for President Trump, so like he had his caretakers will him out of his house or like his hospice room in like a hospital bed so he could go vote for Kamala, and he looked dead. Like he looked dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're 100, you're not exactly looking
But
like a spring chicken. I don't want to
it
live that long, man. I don't want to live that long. 87 tops.
I saw a photo of me the other day and I was like, what happened to that guy? That guy has aged like 30 years in 5 years.
Are you talking about you or are you talking about Jimmy Carter?
Me, Carter, I mean, looked great until the later part of his life, like the last 5 years.
Oh, yeah. Well, because you turn a corner. As you get
Like,
older, you turn a corner, and all of a sudden, like, oh, that's a big change. Like, you
like,
notice little things changing about you as you get older, but I think once you approach 40, you start to suddenly fall off a cliff. And then you fall off another cliff. And you start noticing things with, like, it's not that thing's changing, it's what happened to that.
yeah, I don't know, man. Plus I'm coming off of a sickness and it literally laid me on my butt for 2 weeks, and I'm pretty happy that I have a little bit of energy back.
Can you do something about your heartburn? Like,
You
what?
get it
It's like,
again.
just like, what are you doing right before we do these? Are you like eating chili dogs? Or are you drinking a bunch of soda?
So I'm actually kind of embarrassed, but not to say this, is that I have been instructed basically not to eat spicy food. Like I've literally burned away my esophagus. Not to like the crazy extent, but like it's fucked up, right? So my wife took her mom back to Cleveland this past weekend, and I was home alone with the kids. Which, for any of you dads out there, if you have a night to yourself, you don't know what to do with it. Like you just don't know. So,
Yeah, it's hard to
but
like. What are you supposed to? You're so used to being busy, 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 busy. You don't know what to do.
yeah, like do I do something? So, anyways, long story short, I ordered Thai food and I got it extra spicy, and it tasted good going. This is the first time in my life, and this is why I'm saying this. It tasted good going down, but man, the next day was terrible, and I mean like hellfire and brimstone, terrible.
I don't feel bad for you in any way. I don't understand how
You
you can
shouldn't.
do
You
this.
should not.
I don't understand how you can do this. Like if a doctor told me, "Hey, don't do this," I wouldn't be like, you know what, gonna go ahead and do that. If an electrician or a doctor or a plumber or people who really know are like, well, there is an answer to the question or the thing that you are talking about, if they were like, don't do that, I wouldn't be like, you know what? the electrician told me not to touch this wire that's in the water, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. The doctor
I
told me
mean,
not to do this, but you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Like, I don't understand that at all. Why would you do that?
I'm not really sure, but I got to tell you, I think the last week I think has been like Shull, you need to
You need to
start
change your
listening.
life. Look, and this, yeah,
Like
you need to start listening to people. I don't know how you've lived this long on the planet and haven't learned that lesson yet. Like, oh, you should listen to what people tell you.
your body just gives out, I guess, which has happened to me several times.
This is why you jinx people. This is why you jinx people because you jinx yourself, and now you want to make everybody else have to play in the world that you've created. So you purposely jinx people because you keep jinxing yourself.
Well, anyways, let's talk. I also had a revelation, which we've talked about on this podcast before.
Okay.
Um, while my wife was gone, I decided to watch some of the new season of Squid Game,
Yeah.
and by God, I don't think I've ever seen a sequel, a season two, whatever you want to call it, not the original. That is not that is even close to the original. I don't know what I was expecting of Squid Game 2, and I'm not done with it yet, so maybe I'm jumping the gun. But man, it is. I mean, I don't. It is bad. I don't. They should have just been a one and done series, in my
Oh,
opinion.
so many things. But I think that Joker movie that came out was also like terrible. That it was terrible. That it wasn't what people were expecting it was going to be. I think
I
that's been
just
like a pattern for 2024.
what just they should have. There should be some more original concepts in Hollywood.
Yeah. Or like don't make a
Like
sequel, or if you do make a sequel, don't make it a completely different thing. Like if the first movie is an action movie, don't make the second movie, the sequel to it, a musical.
yeah,
People aren't going to like that.
yeah. Without going into spoilers, I'm very disappointed so far, and I was never one of those people just to kind of always say, "Oh, it's season two or whatever," blah blah blah. But like, even only Murders in the Building, like it's just all getting worse. Everything's just getting worse, Nick.
I I think everything should now be one season. I think every TV show should be one season.
I
And
mean,
maybe and no more than 8 episodes. Every TV show should now be one season of 8 episodes.
that's fair. I got you. You probably would get a lot more quality. That's
Oh
for sure.
yeah. Oh yeah, why string this thing out? Just make another one. Anyway,
Well, here's something that I didn't think I'd ever bring up on here, but Magnus Carlsen. Are you familiar with him at all?
yeah, he's the chess player, right?
Number one ranked chess player in the world and has been for a few years now. Apparently, he was, and it's been resolved, but at the time, he was kicked out of this like this world chess championship because he wore jeans.
Well, I mean,
That's ridiculous.
follow the rules. Like, is that what the rules say? Are there rules that say you have to have a dress code? Then follow the rules. I
It
don't
just
like.
it
That's
made
one of those things where the answer is incredibly simple, right? Like, if you're not going to follow the rules that they had, then don't show up. Like that's the rules,
it
right?
just
Like, wait, what if this is basketball? And you know what? Why should I have to follow the rule that you can't travel? I should just be able to carry the ball all over the place. Like to me, that's one of those things. Like if there was rules in place, follow the rules. It sounds like they upheld the
well,
rules.
I guess I didn't realize that chess tournaments have dress codes, which also seems kind of asinine to me.
They want to be fancy, man. If there's rules, if you're playing a sport or an activity and there's rules to it, then follow the rules.
It's kind of like I understand following the rules, but it's kind of like dressing up for work in a suit and tie when you don't need to. Like let people be comfortable. Why is there? I'm kind of I don't want to say anti-conformist on this, but it's almost like dress codes to me make no sense anymore. I don't know if they ever did
I I get
in
the
all
I
of life, by the way.
I get the idea that, like, okay, wearing jeans isn't that big of a deal. Like, I get it. The problem is, if you give people an inch, they will take a mile. And if you're like, you know what, no dress code for this, we're not going to enforce it, then people are going to be showing up in tank tops and gym shorts. And that's probably, if you're trying to build a sport or trying to maintain a sport and you want this to be a business, that's probably not good for your business. So that's the kind of thing that, like, you can't, if you compromise all the time for everything, then you're never going to get to where you're trying to go. And you've got to draw a line at some point.
Once again, I don't know if you should do it with the world's #1 player, but once again, maybe this guy, who is more than welcome to come on the podcast, by the way, maybe he's that cocky and self-confident. I don't know. Maybe chess players are that way. I've never been good at chess, nor have I don't even remember the last time I played a game of chess.
That's a thing that, like, that my brain just doesn't work like that. I don't want to put in that much effort of, like, thinking that far down the road.
Yeah. Last thing here, Christmas related. God bless Miami, because I swear to goodness, there's always stories that come out of that city that I just shake my head at. This one was, so you know how for Christmas decorations, some people like to put out like the white powder and then step in it and pretend like Santa's come through the house.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's new to me, but I can imagine it. Like, I don't need any more descriptions about it.
Yeah, like, you put some piles and you step in it and it's Santa Claus coming through the house.
Yeah.
Well, according to a report, one family did that, but it wasn't like, I don't know, styrofoam or even salt or whatever you put down. It was cocaine.
They had that much cocaine?
Yeah. And I guess the only reason...
If you have that much cocaine, it makes sense how that you made that decision. Like, if you have that much cocaine, then okay. Well, now I know how you got to that decision.
Well, I guess there's two parts of the story. The first part was the dog ingested some of it, and it was taken to the vet, which is what prompted authorities to investigate. And when they investigated, apparently Dad said, I grabbed the wrong bag to put down because I was high. So,
man, people, like, you can't, like, dumb people are gonna dumb. Like, dumb people are gonna dumb. One, they're not gonna, like, clearly differentiate which bag is which. Number two, they're gonna, like, not kind of check it out. And then three, they're gonna rat on themselves. Like, even if you did that, I certainly wouldn't be like, well, turns out I just put cocaine down. Like, no, at least try to cover it up. Like,
but I don't know. Like, how high do you have to be to, like, not realize that you're not putting down, I don't know, powdered sugar or something. Like, you're putting down, cocaine and lots of money in cocaine.
I don't understand how those two things ever get next to each other. Like, where am I storing my cocaine? Let's put it next to the flour and the fake snow. You would separate that from other things. That's what I don't understand.
It's wild, man. Like I said, I saw that last week and I was like, "Yep, banking this one away," because I don't realize how that even happens.
Man, that must be a lot of cocaine, which though explains you have a lot of cocaine. That's how you get to do things where that person probably seemed like they were doing a lot of cocaine. It's a lot of cocaine talk.
Yeah. Anyways, we can switch from cocaine to candles.
Oh, I was wondering if you were going to remember what the day was.
Yeah, come on, man.
Okay. I can't do it. I can't do the usual intro because my basement is flooded and I'm in my son's room. And if I touch anything, it's going to, like, collapse the whole house, I feel like. But are you ready? It's time. The outlaw candle connoisseur rides again. Candle of the month.
Boof. All right, so I got and I'm ashamed to admit this. I probably got a dozen candles for Christmas from different people. 9 of which are already gone
How is that
and
even possible?
have been
It's
recycled.
5 days
Well,
after Christmas. How could you burn through 9 candles in 5 days?
you start them early in the morning and you just keep going. But
Do you have
um
insurance? Like, you better hope that your house never burns to the ground because they're going to check back on this show and be like, we know exactly what happened.
oh yeah, well, fuck, I hope they never. I can check on the show. Um, Funny enough, you say that. My aunts or my mother, I'm sorry, my wife's aunt got me a fire blanket for Christmas.
What's a
So
fire blanket?
it's what you think it is. It's a blanket that if there's a fire, you put it over the fire, and it's supposed to extinguish the fire.
That's the kind of thing that, like, oh, that's a great gift. And when the fire starts, you're like, where's the fire blanket? Stop and get the fire blanket. Like, it's the kind of thing that's a great idea with no practical implication because during that situation, you would never use it.
Well, I was also like kind of making fun of it, and I think I offended some
Oh,
people
yeah.
because I
No,
was
yeah.
like,
Well, don't make fun of the gift someone gives you, dude. Don't be a jerk.
we have a fire extinguisher. We don't need it. It doesn't matter.
Well, the
Anyways,
fire extinguisher's out.
so I was given this candle.
Can you operate, like, honestly? Could you grab a fire extinguisher and operate it if you needed to?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not hard.
If there was an emergency on an airplane, do you think you could get the airplane door open?
Yes.
Oh, I think that a lot of people who think they could do it would mess it up. Because every time I've looked at like an emergency exit in an airplane, I've thought to myself, if something happens, there's no way I'm getting that thing open.
I mean, I would presume you would just be able to rotate the handle and push the door, right? I would
Right.
think.
Right. I've seen people struggle with like automatic doors.
Also, I'm sorry. I don't want to bring this up because it's a terrible, tragic loss of life, and we'll get to the candle of the month in a
What are
second.
you going to
But
say now? What are you about to say?
there was a plane crash in South Korea that killed like 180 people.
Yeah.
There was some kind of landing malfunction, and it
Yeah.
went off the runway. Apparently, in South Korea, they don't have like like they don't have like retractable or like like fences that will give way if something goes into them. So this plane basically went head on at like 180 miles an hour into a concrete barrier. And I'm just wondering, like, where are we as a society? You would think that we are okay enough and know enough now not to have concrete barriers within 200 yards of a plane landing, just in case.
I think that I agree with what you're saying, right? Like, that's probably not the place to put. Like, where should we put this titanium steel wall? At the end of the aircraft runway? That's
Like,
probably not the place to put that. But also, I don't think that a retractable fence is going to really be helping out like a giant airplane coming in at 200 miles an hour. Like, that's putting lipstick on. Like, that's just for mental. That's not doing anything. That's just
I mean,
making you feel better.
and you're probably right, but I just, I don't know. I don't know. I just, every time I see that video, I'm just like, why is there, a concrete wall right there? But, anyways, tragic event. We'll go back to candle of the month. So, anyways, I was given this candle. It was kind of a joke. People were making fun of me, but it's actually fantastic, and I think it's a good way to bring in 2025. So you get it on Amazon. It's by a company that I've never heard of, and I'm going to screw up the name, but I believe it's Niywesor, Niywesor,
Yeah.
and it's called the candle is called it's 7 ounces hand poured, and it's called Here's to New Beginnings, and
Oh.
it's supposed to be a candle that you give. Uh, um, like a woman who just got recently divorced or something.
Oh.
But someone thought it would be funny to give it to me for the new year. And I have to tell you, the reason why I'm highlighting it is the name fits the candle perfectly, and it fits kind of going into the new year scent wise perfectly. It's crisp, It's nice. It's fresh. It has almost like a fresh linen and lemon scent. And it's just you burn it. It's only 7 ounces, so it's gonna burn probably in 12 to 16 hours if you keep it going. It's one wick. It's about $16, I think, from when I was looking it up earlier. And it's just a cool looking candle. Like it's all white with a little black lid. There's a little heart on it. Here's the new beginnings, 2025.
Okay.
Check it out. Amazon.
All right. What's the most candles you've ever received for a Christmas or birthday? If you got 12 this year, what's the most you've ever gotten for a Christmas or birthday?
That's probably 12's probably dozen's probably the most, and I only think it's because, like I said, a couple people were doing it to make fun of me. A couple people did it because they know that I love candles, and a couple people at my work I think just gave them to me just because they needed to give somebody a candle. So
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a really easy regift. Like, what'd you get? I got a candle. What are we going to go to?
Yeah, it's
God, I got to get something for John. I'll just give him some crappy candle. He'll be like, oh, thanks.
I love it. I love it.
That's a
And
great
you know what?
hobby to get gifts for, honestly.
I think 2025 is going to be a good year for the candle connoisseur. Feeling good.
Well, way to jinx it. All right, so you ready for our top 5?
I mean, that's a perfect segue, I feel.
So our top 5 is the top 5 worst New Year's resolutions. What's your number 5?
Man, so when I was trying to think of this, I was busy, but there are a lot of resolutions that no one ever does. I mean,
yeah, I don't think.
and I don't know if
do
that
them at all.
I don't know if that makes them the worst, but my list is kind of a good mixture of them. So, my number 5 is people who say that they want to do more traveling and spend more time with their families.
Oh yeah, that's never gonna happen.
Never gonna happen.
Never gonna happen. That's because it's too big of a New Year's resolution. Like, I want to do more traveling, but that's really hard to get more traveling in.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest. I love my family, but after 1 week vacation somewhere, I'm ready maybe to go on a guy's trip or go alone somewhere. I don't need to be taking trip after trip after trip.
I just want to put this on the record. This is being recorded on December 30th, 2024. I want to put this in the record. John has been talking about going to Vegas. I have continued to ask him for a date on when we're going to Vegas, and he has not provided that. I would like that to be on the record. That you're ducking a Vegas trip. That you're ducking a Vegas trip.
I'm not ducking it. Things have just popped up, all right?
Right, ducking. My number 5 is reading more. No one reads. If you're making a New Year's resolution that you're going to read more, like, that's not going to happen. No, you're not.
So I wanted to put that on my list because I'm guilty of that. But this is the year that I read 40 books. So
it's crazy that you're going to try to read 40 books, and I probably haven't read a book in 10 years. And
I love it.
I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything.
I just love reading. I love the physical touch of a book, the pages, everything.
What kind of candle? Now, do you have a special candle that you listen to for your reading? Like, oh no, I got to get the reading candle.
No, I mean, I've never thought of that, actually. That might be something to do a little research on, though.
Oh my God. Okay, what's your number 4? Let's hear it.
My number 4 is saving money, saying you're going to save some money, try to get out of debt. That's another thing that never happens because life just happens. Like, I don't know how you all are out there, but it's like if I save any money, then I need new tires. Or my kid needs their tonsils taken out and we have medical bills, or something. Like, I never can get on top of like actually saving money and sticking through with it.
I think that's the big difficulty with most New Year's resolutions. Like, if it was a thing that you were capable of doing, you probably would have been doing it already.
That's fair. That might be the best sentence you've said all year on this podcast.
Oh, it sounded smart. I read it off of something. I read it off the back of something. I can't think of anything funny to make it up with. But anyway, my number 4 is get pregnant or find a new job. I don't think you should make New Year's resolutions about things that you can't really control. Like, you don't have a lot of control over stuff like that. Like that, you need a little bit. Things that have a measure of randomness to them, I don't think should be New Year's resolution. So get pregnant should not be on there.
I was wondering where you were going with, get pregnant and get a new job and how you were going to bring them back around. But I understand. Yeah, things you can't control that you say you're going to control, which ultimately you can't.
Right. And not only can you not control it, but you need to let that be at the right time.
Yeah,
like you don't want to do it just because that's on the goal list.
Isn't that the old wives' tale? The moment you stop trying, like if you're trying to get pregnant, the moment you stop trying is usually when people get pregnant. So
You got to relax, man. You got to relax. It's number 3.
So I have them. It's combined, but basically giving up like a bad habit, quitting drinking, giving up smoking. You know, so giving up bad habits, I'd say, is my number 3. I mean, how many people say they're going to do dry January, and by January 4th they've had a beer? You know what I mean, or a drink.
That's actually my number 3 as well, is quitting a bad habit. Just because if you're doing anything that you could really say is a bad habit, like affecting your health, whether that's physical or mental, you should probably just stop that now. Like, you shouldn't wait to do it. Like, no, you should start doing it now.
I've just always learned, for me, it's like, it's better, like, if I just do it instead of making like a, hey, next Monday I'm doing this. Like, I'm going to the gym, I'm starting over. Like, I just need to go. I just need to start eating apples and taking care of myself. You know what I mean? Like, don't make a show about it. Just effing do it.
You just got to do it. Any change that I've ever made in my life has not been something that I've set a date for when I'm going to do it. It just has to be, nope, I'm just going to do it now.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your number 2?
So my number 2 and 1 are kind of interchangeable, but maybe I'll make them make sense. But my number 2 is working out more. Getting active.
Yeah. My number 2 is lose weight. But I don't think that people should lose weight. I think the New Year's resolution should be to get healthier. And weight can be a byproduct of that. I don't think you should get caught up in the number. You should get caught up in the idea of trying to improve the quality of your life.
And that's what my number 1 is, improving the quality of your life by, so number 2, get active. Number 1 is just improving it in general, whether it's more sleep, better diet, things like that, as for my number 1.
My number 1 is any kind of resolution without a plan. I don't think that you can have any kind of a goal without a plan as to how you are going to accomplish that goal.
I mean, it's like anything in life. You need a plan, but how many people are actually willing to make a plan and stick with it? And how many people can?
Not many, man. It's because I don't think that people are really capable of that much change. I don't think that you can change your basic nature by more than, say, 10%.
I feel like we live in a society that doesn't gratify change. Like, companies, corporations, they want you to eat McDonald's. They want you to buy Walmart, boxed rice. Like, they want us to do that. And, obviously the choice is yours. It's like Squid Game. The choice is yours. You make the decisions. But man, it sure is easy to grab a McDonald's cheeseburger than making an organic meal. And a lot cheaper.
I think that we just have too many stressors in our lives now. Like, you can't handle making that big of a change because there's just too many other things that are going on. The only way I think you can make a big change in your life is if you don't have a lot of other stuff happening. Because that's just not going to happen. Like, you can't save money if you also have 2 children in a house. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
You got to, get rid of the children.
What it'd be to be 24 again for most of us.
Oh, man. Not having that responsibility? That'd be crazy. But I don't think that your life would really be any different, honestly.
I don't know about you, but I'll be asleep by 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve. So
that's the best part about being on the West Coast, is that I can celebrate it at 9 o'clock. Like, I can watch the New Year's Eve thing in New York City and be like, all right, that's it.
That's it. Over. Done.
Okay. I'd ask if your honorable mention, but I kind of lost interest, to be honest with you. Do you have anything in honorable mention?
I can't stop looking at the cone that's jarring your head there.
Oh yeah, we got that for free when my son, like when I bought a wetsuit. I got a wetsuit because it's really cold here to try to go into the water, and I was like, I'm gonna go swimming, and I got a wetsuit, and then they gave me those flags.
Happy 2025, everybody.
God, dude, don't jinx everyone. You just jinxed the whole world. Ugh. Oh wait, where's the button? Oh no.
It was the perfect send off, and you ruined it.
It was. I missed it. Because you jinxed it. You already screwed up our 2025. I was all ready to go, and then you had to say one more thing, and then now look at us. You've ruined 2025 just now.
Didn't ruin anything.
2025, worst year on record. We all know where to blame. Now I can end it. Wait, did it end? You working today?